Hello everybody, welcome back. This is your friend Trickman01 and we are here today to do a follow-up to my UHC in vanilla Minecraft video, easily my most popular video to date. Basically, one of the things people pointed out to me was that, sorry, I bumped my mic a little bit, that the boundaries weren't set, and of course I didn't really think about that too much because the people I play with have more or less a gentleman's agreement. But I can see how it would become an issue in some servers. So let me just show you. I came up with a few things. Let me show you guys, and you can come up with your own stuff kind of based on this. Basically, what I have here is I have a clock pulsing in a spawn chunk, and it's constantly checking the perimeters, and it'll add penalties to whoever goes outside of them. So here I am, that's towards the center of the arena, that's towards the outside. So you can see if I walk outside of the perimeter of the arena, I basically get turned around and, no harm done. So, like I said, it just turns you around a complete 180, so if you're going this way, you will get turned back towards, whichever way you came, 180 degrees. Now, if you choose to stay, outside, you're going to get stuck with blindness if you do try to do that. Most people aren't even going to try. They're just going to realize they got turned around, they hit the edge of the arena, and they're going to try to avoid that, which is awesome. But if you do choose to stay outside, you're going to be stuck with blindness, so you could have players sneaking up on you and not even realize it. Now if you choose to try to go farther outside of the arena, you can see I got stopped in my tracks. At this point, unable to move. Let's go that way. But if I jump, I can move back into the arena. So it's just basically to serve notice that, hey, you're going in the wrong direction. You need to turn around and try again, just in case somehow they got discombobulated during the initial darkness thing. But if they choose to continue headed in that direction, they will actually get a wither effect. And that can really make the difference in UHC, even if it's just half a heart that they end up taking, because as soon as they jump back, to this way, they're going to stop taking the wither effect. And that's basically, and then if they choose to stay or try to keep going in that direction, basically if they stay outside of the wither radius, it's going to start withering them even more. So that could basically lose them the UHC game. Now again, you could go into MC Edit and just make your walls out of bedrock. I don't use MC Edit that much. I try to do as many things in vanilla Minecraft as I can. But basically, these blocks aren't essential to my little thingy here, my little device, my command block things, whatever you want to call them. The border protector, the UHC border protector, I'm not sure. Anyways, this one just teleports me so I could demonstrate that. You can see it does that. And it also orientates me in the right direction so I can just walk straight towards the boundary. These two aren't really important. I covered everything about these two in my original UHC video, which is linked in the description. Right down there. This one just sets the objective of radius, and it gives it a dummy thingy, a dummy type. Penalty, same thing, and wither, same thing. So let's start with this command block right here. So basically what this command block does is it sets the score for all players within the UHC boundaries. It sets their radius score to 0. And if we look here, we can see it looks from negative 500x 0y negative 500z to 500x 500y and 500z. Now I know over here dx it says 1000, but that's actually measuring the distance from negative 500, the distance in the positive direction from negative 500. Same thing with y. It's measuring 500 blocks up, and Z, it's measuring 1,000 blocks in the positive direction from negative 500. So it basically covers 1,000 by 1,000 blocks by 500, but I use these numbers so you don't really have to think too much about the Y. So it uses those cubic selectors. It sets the radius to 0. Okay. Now if we look scoreboard objectives, set display, sidebar, radius, we can see it's actually floating at 1, even though it's getting set to 0 every pulse. And the reason for that is because it's adding to every player in the game 1 to their radius score every pulse as well. So we can see over here, it's constantly staying at 1. It's being set to 0, then added 1, set to 0, then added 1. But with this command right here, actually, let me rephrase that. Every player within the UHC arena is getting set to 0, and then it's adding for every player in the game 1. So if you're outside the UHC arena, your radius score is going to start increasing each pulse. Now, basically this command, it teleports everyone who's outside of the arena. It just turns them around 180 degrees. And the way it does that is it uses score radius min equals 2, which radius is the name of our objective that we're looking at for the people in the UHC arena. And I called it radius instead of perimeter. I apologize. It should be called perimeter. But that's neither here nor there. So it looks at this, the score name minimum 2, so it has to be at least 2. And the score name equals 2, which means it can be no more than 2. So basically, when it hits 2, when the radius score hits 2, so right as they walk outside of the arena, they're going to be turned around 180 degrees. And the way this is accomplished is by using the teleport command, like we said. So it keeps the X, it does nothing to their X, Y, Z coordinates. But on this one, this is, I believe, the orientation around the Y axis. It basically rotates them 180 degrees, so it turns them straight around. And then this one is rotation around the x-axis, which I left the same as well. So basically the only thing this thing does is teleports them 180 degrees and says, hey, you're outside the arena, you need to come back in. Most players will be fine with that. They'll come back into the arena after they realize they went outside and keep playing the game just like normal. Let's see here. This command whispers, W is whisper, to all players with the radius score of 2, so it only whispers to them once. And again, I feel the need to point out that the reason I use both of these is because if you use just the radius min, it's going to whisper to them every pulse. Whereas if you use both of these, it's only going to whisper to them right when, during the pulse, their radius score equals 2. And in survival game mode, and it's going to whisper to those players, return to UHC area to avoid penalties. So it basically teleports them, turns them around, tells them, hey, you need to avoid these penalties. Please come back to the UHC arena. And then at the same time, we give them an effect. We give all players who have a radius score of at least 2 and are in survival game mode a blindness effect that lasts 2 seconds with an amplifier of 0, which means level 1. In Minecraft, the effects all start, level 1 is 0. The amplifier of 1 would be level 2, amplifier 3 would be level 4, so on and so forth. I think I skipped 2, but that's okay. You get the idea. So basically, it's going to give them all blindness for 2 seconds. But the 2 seconds really doesn't matter. I did that because if you just do 1 second, it tends to flash on and off and get really annoying. But basically, it just gives them, blindness. And then at that point, it kind of alerts them, we turned you around, please stay in the arena, so on and so forth. Now, the next one, actually, for once they come back in the arena and their radius score comes back to 1, it'll actually take the blindness away from them, so it might not even last the whole 2 seconds. This next one is actually, I'm going to go through it, but I'm going to explain it while I'm going through it. I'm going to go I'm going to just show the whole thing so you guys can see it. But if they go more than 10 blocks outside of the UHC arena, the effect is basically going to be they're going to get stopped, like I showed at the beginning of the video. The penalty is, of course, the score name on this one. So it's going to set the penalty to 0, then it's going to add 1, just like it did for the radius command. The same thing is going on with the penalty command. And it's going to constantly, well, something a little weird's going on with there, but for the most part it's fairly stable. It might be because it's got 2 blocks attached to it, but it won't make a difference. As you can see, it works just fine over there. And basically what's going to happen is the effect, all players who have a score of at least 2 in the penalty objective and are in survival game mode are going to be hit with the slowness effect for 2 seconds, level 7, which means they're unable to walk, but they can jump and move, so they do have a fair chance to get back into the arena. And this one just clears it away once they're back within the arena. Or, I'm sorry, once they're back within, once they kind of leave the slowness penalty area. And now the same thing for the wither. You can see the selectors there. So now if they go 20 blocks outside of the arena, their wither score is going to be set to 0, and then we're gonna add 1 to that, and then they're gonna be given wither. It's just an effect command. So anyone, once they hit level 2, they're gonna be given the wither effect for 1,000,000 seconds. And the reason you have to do it like that is because if you just do 1 or 2 seconds, if you just use the minimum on here, every time this pulses, it's going to take wither effect, and that's not the goal of this. Is not to instantly kill the cheaters. It's to, just give them a penalty for being outside of the area. So yeah, it gives them that command for 1,000,000 seconds, but as soon as they come back in, you can see it gets cleared, so they shouldn't have it for 1,000,000 seconds, and they'd probably be dead if they did. And then this is just another whisper command. It whispers to all of them with a wither score of 2. Please return to the UHC arena to remove all effects. And then once they hit a wither score of 50, then it gets amped up a little bit like you saw at the beginning of the video. And then the same thing, it'll clear the wither effect once they come back out of the wither penalty area. So I'm just going to show you guys that one more time. That is my idea for doing UHC boundaries in vanilla Minecraft. If you guys have any better ideas, I would love to hear them. But as you can see, the first thing we do to try to keep them in the arena is we just turn them around. No harm done. They just stepped outside of the arena. They might not have even done it on purpose, so we just turn them around. But if they insist on cheating or trying to go farther outside of the arena, we'll stop them. And then if they try to go even farther, so like at this point, they're, anyone who has a bow is going to get them. And I could also add a radius effect, or something to look for a radius score of 100 or 200 or something like that, so they'll start being punished if they stay out here too long, just in case they're trying to hide behind a tree or something. But that's neither here nor there. That's just an idea. But if they continue to go outside and just try to go out, they'll get withered. But as soon as they come back in, the wither effect ends. But if they stay out in the wither area until it reaches a score of 50, then they're going to get amplified. So, yeah. So that's basically how that works. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. I know I had some fun making it. There are other ways you could do this, other effects you could probably use, just depending on your personality. Like I said, probably the way most of the people who play UHC do it is they just go to MC Edit, and add a bedrock boundary around the whole map, which is fine. I have no problems with that. But I just like to have an option to do it without MC Edit. And yeah, that's basically it. Now the other thing I will say about this is sometimes command blocks act, or I'm sorry, sometimes redstone acts a little weird in a server, and of course since you have a clock going, it's going to might lag the server a little bit, a redstone clock, but it is an option. And of course what you could do is you could replace this with a hopper, or with a hopper clock, and it would do a little bit less damage. Of course then it wouldn't be quite as responsive either. Almost fell off there, but this is just one idea. I'm sure there's others out there. Like I said, the physical boundaries probably serve the best, but this is just another option for those of you who are map makers and want to make your own UHC arena maybe. I do recommend either putting it in the sky or putting it deep underground surrounded by bedrock, and it has to be in a spawn chunk. And if you are going to use a clock like this, it's probably be a good idea to kind of get an idea of what kind of server you're using, if it's powerful enough to handle it, so on and so forth. But that's really all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Every like, subscribe, and comment you put, whether good or bad, helps me out so much. And I hope to see you guys again, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. This was your friend Trickman01. Bye bye now.